Thank you, Kate, and welcome everybody. I too would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people as the traditional custodians of the land that we are meeting on. So today we are discussing COVID-19 vaccinations and managing the workplace risks. Clarity, consistency and certainty have eluded us during the course of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the rollout of COVID-19 vaccinations is no exception. Confusion is rife amongst employees and employers alike as they navigate, as they grapple with what it means for them and their workplace. Today, we will consider the employee and the employer perspective, understanding that there is, in fact, a common objective, a common goal, which is a safe and productive workplace. But also understanding that aspiring to this goal is one thing and achieving it quite another. The complications arise from the fundamental government position that vaccinations are voluntary, and of course, the operation of workplace laws that may dictate otherwise. And then we have the government shift, the introduction of mandatory vaccinations. So we need to be alive to these issues generally, alive to this shifting landscape, and then more specifically, as they directly impact our workplace, the practical application. So from the employee perspective, basically employees want to do the right thing. In fact, a survey referenced in the Courier Mail had indicated that 62% of employees supported, they backed compulsory vaccinations in the workplace. But employees are hesitant. They're concerned and they need to know their workplace rights. At JobWatch, Victoria's Employment Rights Legal Centre, we have been inundated with calls from workers wanting to know about their rights. Here is a snapshot. A caller to JobWatch, hesitant to get the COVID vaccination, was told to either get the vaccination or to resign. If she resigned, she was assured that she would get a good recommendation. A Catholic aged care worker did not want to get the mandatory vaccination. Another employee was told by his employer to get vaccinated with the AstraZeneca against the medical advice of his doctor. And then a hotel quarantine worker was required to have the COVID-19 vaccination, but was also about to commence fertility treatments, and so was very uncertain about the vaccination and its effects. And then the employer perspective. Employer groups believe in widespread vaccinations as a way to end lockdowns, provide safe and productive workplaces, and ultimately support the economy. So the real issue, though, is what can and can't employers and employees do? And specifically today, we will cover off on the following areas. The operation of lawful and reasonable directions with and without mandatory government orders. For employers, can I require my employees to be vaccinated? And what happens if my employee refuses to get vaccinated? For employees, I don't want to get vaccinated. What are my rights? What can I do if I do not want to be vaccinated? Can I refuse to work if my work colleagues are not vaccinated? We will also discuss discrimination and privacy. From the employer's perspective, could I refuse to employ someone who hasn't been vaccinated, or would that be discriminatory? Could there be exposure to sex discrimination? A pregnant woman concerned about vaccination. For employees, do I need to provide my employer with proof of vaccination, perhaps a medical certificate? Is this an invasion of my privacy? We will consider policy and liability implications. Many employers want to support government policy to encourage vaccinations. But are there liability issues for employers facilitating the vaccination at work? What about providing incentives to be vaccinated, such as bonuses? And what about vaccinations and out-of-pocket expenses? Who is liable for associated vaccination expenses? Time off for vaccinations, recovery time, travel. There is a government subsidy in place for the mandatory aspect of the vaccinations, $11 million, but is this sufficient? And what about the status of casuals? When casuals don't work, they don't get paid.